Hello, my name is Matthew Nelson, and I'm here to give you the 2017 Seattle Sounders MLS season preview. Last season, the Seattle Sounders won the MLS Cup for the first time in their history. The season, though, didn't start out that great, as they were rock bottom in the Western Conference for a while, eventually sacking their only ever MLS head coach, Ziggy Schmidt. They promoted their assistant coach, Brian Schmetzer, and took over the Sounders and brought them to what most people thought was impossible, into a playoff spot, snagging fourth place. Eventually, he took them all the way to the MLS Cup final, taking on Toronto in the final, and beating them in penalties to claim the Sounders' first ever MLS Cup. So, with that successful season, what should the Sounders expect coming into the next season? Sounders had some few key departures this past offseason, including Eric Freeberg, who worked well in the midfield alongside Ozzie Alonso and Christian Roldan. Freeberg, though only having 2 assists last season, played a deep playmaker center mid role, playing as a number 8 box-to-box midfielder, helping cover with Alonso or Roldan, and also pushing forward, being able to pick out Dempsey in the early parts of the season, as well as Morris and Ladero towards the end. His contract was not picked up by the Sounders, and he's now currently playing in the Swedish Professional League back home. Though Freeberg wasn't necessarily one of the best midfielders the Sounders have had, he was a very instrumental part of the MLS Cup winning season. Another big departure for the Seattle Sounders was designated player Nelson Valdez. Valdez, to put it lightly, had a rough few seasons with the Sounders. Last season, he only had 1 assist in 24 regular season appearances. He eventually lost the trust of former head coach Ziggy Schmidt and was mostly seen on the bench without much playing time. Though Nelson Valdez quickly became a fan favorite for leaving out his heart on the field and being one of the hardest workers we've ever seen playing a red green jersey. Brian Schmetzer eventually put his trust back into Nelson Valdez and because of it, got 2 goals and 1 assist in the playoff. One questionably offsides goal against Sporting Kansas City, as well as an all-important goal, one of the 3 in the home tie against FC Dallas in the Western Conference semifinal. Sadly, Valdez couldn't take the pay cut that the Sounders asked him to come back, and now he's back home in Paraguay playing for Cerro Porteño. Though Valdez became a great player for holding up the ball up top towards the end of the season, the Sounders could not justify keeping him and his wages around for that long. Another player that the Sounders will miss is Andreas Ivanchitz, the Austrian Beckham, as he was dubbed at an early age. Last season, Andreas had 3 goals and 8 assists for the Red Green, and he was the only bright spot going forward for the Sounders in the early parts of the season before Morris started clicking and Ladero joined the team. Injuries, though, hurt him towards the end of the season, not getting as much starts as he would like and as the Sounders would like. And in an effort to start moving the roster to go young, sadly, Ivanchitz was not picked up with his contract extension, but he currently plays in the Czech First Division. Another player that will be missed is Herculez Gomez, not because of the effort he put on the field, though he did put in a lot, but because of his personality and his leadership style. Herculez Gomez, as a former U.S. men's national team player and striker, didn't score any goals for the Sounders, but his leadership was very important in the locker room as well as on the field. Gomez is now an ESPN FC commentator and we can see him frequently on ESPNFC.com, and I'm sure he's looking forward to see the Red Green kick off this next season. Moving away from the departures, there's also been some big signings for the Sounders, specifically 3. The first one that I'll talk about is Harry Shipp. Harry Shipp was an incredible youngster coming out of Chicago a few years back, but kind of lost his steam when he was traded to Montreal. Now the Sounders picked him up, and he has looked good during the off-season, or preseason so far. He'll be competing with Flacco for some minutes on the wing, and will mostly be seen in rotational spots, especially when the national team calls Morris and Dempsey away. Will Bruin is another player that the Sounders signed this past season, and he was a known goal scorer for the Houston Dynamo. Though he has had some moments in preseason that he's missed, he has some great moments in training that he scored. And we're looking forward to seeing him on the field, especially when Morris and Dempsey are called for international duty once again. Gustav Svensson is another player that the Sounders signed, and kind of under the radar at first as a no-name. Svensson played in the Chinese Super League last season, and because of the new foreign player rule in the Chinese Super League, he was no longer able to play with the team. So the Sounders were able to pick him up as depth in defensive mid as well as center back position. This would be great for if Christian Roldan ends up getting a U.S. men's national team call-up. Svensson will be able to fit in perfectly right there, and also fit in rotationally as a center back if needed for Roman Torres, Chad Marshall, or Tony Alfaro going forward. Another player that's almost like a signing is Clint Dempsey. He has been cleared to play 100% full-on games once again. Dempsey has played significant minutes in his preseason game and is honestly looking very well with connecting with Jordan Morris, Nico Lodeiro, as well as Flaco Fernandez. Now, the biggest question is, what can we expect of the Seattle Sounders? Last year, they just squeaked by, picking up a 4th place finish in the Western Conference to qualify for the playoffs, and just played one game in time, slowly making their way, and ended up beating Toronto without putting any shots on goal in the final. So what should we expect? I believe the Sounders will do extremely well this next season. They have everything that it takes to have a great team. In goal, they have Stefan Frei, the MLS Cup MVP, who has been one of the best goalkeepers in the league the past few seasons. In front of him, we have center back pairing of Roman Torres and Chad Marshall, who were rock solid towards the end of the season. Once Torres came back from his ACL tear, the defense of the Sounders solidified instantly. The reason for the Sounders' great run in the playoffs was because of Roman Torres and Chad Marshall's partnership at center back. Now, the biggest question is the right back position. Jovan Jones fit very well into the left back position towards the end of the season and started finally figuring out when to go forward, when to come back, and his egregious mistakes started becoming less and less. But now with Tyrone Mears being traded to Atlanta, who's going to fit at right back? We have O'Neal Fisher, who's been taking minutes with the Sounders too, who could fit in there, but also Brad Evans, who has been Mr. Swiss Army knife for the Seattle Sounders in the past few seasons, who has played center back, center mid, striker, winger, as well as fullback at times. Honestly, he is the most probable person to be playing right back come March 4th with the season opener. In the midfield, we have not much of a change from last season. We have the 2 holding mids. We'll have Alonso and Roldan in a 4-5-1 setup. We'll have Alonso and Roldan, who played incredibly well. Roldan, in his 2nd season as a professional, did not by any means have a sophomore slump, but only raised his stock. He got the attention of Bruce Arena, now current head coach of the U.S. men's national team, as well as many other fans, and Sounders fans and MLS fans alike, or U.S. men's national team fans alike, look forward to seeing him play well this next season. In the playmaking role, we'll have the return of Clint Dempsey as our number 10. Dempsey was playing extremely well before he had to take a medical leave because of his heart condition, getting a hat trick against Orlando and FC Dallas. Now that Dempsey is back and fully ready to go with the rest of the team, we look forward to seeing his chemistry build up once again with Nico Lodeiro and Jordan Morris. Speaking of Lodeiro, we will have him as well as Flaco Fernandez starting on the wings on March 4th for the opening day. Lodeiro was the reason the Sounders were able to pick themselves out of the rut they dug themselves into. His incredible eye for a long ball to Jordan Morris over the top, and his great just technical ability was able to break down defensive just by himself. Lodeiro will be huge in the Sounders making another run for the playoffs and possibly even defending their MLS Cup title. Flaco Fernandez, though didn't get as much playing time as he would like last season, will be a key player in this year's Sounders setup. There were movements for a speedy winger for the Sounders, being linked to players such as Hilal El Arabi Saudani, who is an Algerian international and a very fast winger. But because the Sounders didn't pick up a DP winger like they were looking for and end up raising Alonso's salary to DP, Flaco will have to step in huge this season. Another person that can fill in that spot, as I said earlier, is Harry Shipp, who once again has impressed a lot during preseason. Up top, obviously, the Rookie of the Year, Jordan Morris. Morris's speed, especially towards the end of the season, once the Sounders midfield realized how to take advantage of it, can easily break down teams. We saw in the Sounders thrashing of LA down in Carson City, Morris just take off and outrun the entire LA defense to get his second goal in the game. Now, with that lineup, what will the Sounders be able to do? I believe the Sounders will make a good push for the for the Supporters Shield this year, but fall just short, finishing second or third place in the Western Conference. With that, though, they will qualify for either a bye or a home tie for a wild card game in the playoffs, and they will also make a deep run in the playoffs. And I predict they will make it all the way to the MLS Cup final once again. But sad to say, they will fall short defending their title. All right, what are your comments? How do you think the Sounders are going to do this season? Leave it down in the comments below, and keep looking for more MLS 2017 season previews right here on the MLS Show YouTube page. Last season, played a deep playmaker center mid role, playing as a number 8 box-to-box midfielder, helping cover with Alonso Roldan, and also pushing forward, being able to pick out Dempsey in the early parts of the season, as well as Morris and Ladero towards the end. His contract was not picked up by the Sounders, and he's now currently playing in the Swedish Professional League back home. Though Friberg wasn't necessarily one of the best midfielders the Sounders have had, he was a very instrumental part of the MLS Cup winning season. Another big departure for the Seattle Sounders was designated player Nelson Valdez. Valdez, to put it lightly, had a rough few seasons in the final, and beating them in penalties to claim the Sounders' first ever MLS Cup. So, with that successful season, what should the Sounders expect coming into the next season? Sounders had some few key departures this past offseason, including Eric Friberg, who worked well in the midfield alongside Ozzy Alonso and Christian Roldan. Friberg, though only having 2 assists last, MLS head coach Ziggy Schmidt. They promoted their assistant coach Brian Schmetzer and took over the Sounders and brought them to what most people thought was impossible, into a playoff spot, snagging 4th place. Eventually, he took them all the way to the MLS Cup final, taking on Toronto. Hello, my name is Matthew Nelson, and I'm here to give you the 2017 Seattle Sounders MLS season preview. Last season, the Seattle Sounders won the MLS Cup for the first time in their history. The season, though, didn't start out that great, as they were rock bottom in the Western Conference for a while, eventually sacking their only ever